Why, hello there everyone. I'm Laxow, aka the Kumo Sensei. Minasan, ohayo gozaimasu, and welcome back to Tarantula Tuesdays. And this time I bring to you guys something relatively rare. This species here, you most likely never heard of it, nor have you seen it for sale. It actually is pretty hard to come by nowadays because very few people have actually produced this in captivity, and this species here is known as the Crassicrus species Guerrero. And honestly, you may have never had this species or ever will have it, not for a long time. At least within the United States, that is, because I believe this species have been produced once in captivity, only in Europe. So that's pretty much the only actual recordings or any actual records that I've seen of somebody producing the species in captivity. Just one person, one exec in Europe. Here in the United States, I don't think anybody has actually produced this species. And you may have noticed that the abdomen has a bit of stuck shed on it, but don't worry guys, it's still eating, it's doing well, and it will recover its next moles, I'm pretty sure. And look, I want to make one thing clear. This is not the same as Crassicrus laminae. Crassicrus laminae is another species entirely. I guess the best way to put it is that this is more so of an undescribed locality of Crassicrus. So I have seen people actually try to label, Crassicrus laminae as Crassicrus species Guerrero, and honestly we should keep those separate for now until there's more known about Crassicrus species Guerrero. So what I have here is pretty much on its own, to put it simply. Now there was some recent imports of wild-caught Crassicrus laminae. I believe they came in last year, so there are some people that are trying to label, laminae as Crassicrus species Guerrero, but don't do that guys, keep those separate, okay? Because you don't want to get these confused. So a lot of you may be wondering, how did I get my hands on these here in the United States if they're so hard to get? Well, long story short, a very long time ago, there was a vendor that actually imported from Europe, and they actually imported some Crassicrus species Guerrero, and I got 2 of these slings for free. In which the 2 slings you're seeing now are juveniles, or they're approaching subadult size here in this video. And yeah, both of those slings were female, so I have 0 males. And that is how I got these. I got these from a vendor that imported these from Europe, and sadly, that vendor is no longer around. They essentially went out of business, to put it simply, so they're gone. And that is how I got these 2 Crassicrus species Guerrero, also known as the Mexican Tan Flare Tarantula, and I don't think anybody will get these in the United States for a long time. Unless somebody imports them from Europe, I don't really see it happening. And I don't even know how rare they are in Europe. I hope they're more common over there, because here in the United States, they're pretty much non-existent. It's been years on years and I still haven't found any males or any slings for sale. Now I have seen some people try to rip me off and scam me by selling Crassicrus laminae as Crassicrus species Guerrero. And that's honestly the most irritating thing about being a tarantula breeder, is that sometimes people will scam you, and other times the people are just outright just don't know what they have. But the reason why I love this species is because it's so unlike any other tarantula species. One thing I noticed is that I can actually see each individual eye on the carapace of this species. I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like I can see each individual eyeball on the tarantula's carapace, which is kind of funny. Another thing I like about the features is the colors, because the front legs are lighter colored and then the back legs are darker colored. Same thing for the abdomen. The abdomen front is lighter color, and as it goes back, it legit becomes darker. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but the abdomen sort of reflects light as well, which is honestly pretty cool, because if you notice the abdomen, whenever light reflects on it, it kind of puts like this really cool sheen on the abdomen. I don't know how to explain it. It's pretty cool though. It's just something that I really love about the species. I don't know, everything about it is so different. That's the only way I can put it. So this Crassicrus species Guerrero female here that you're seeing is my second female, and she's actually slightly larger than the first one that you saw. So this is pretty much close or approaching subadult or maybe adult sizes. I do think they get around 3 to 4 inches in leg span. She is currently 3 inches in leg span, so pretty much she's mature. I did check her last molt, and her spermatheca was scleroterized, so it was fully developed. So essentially, she's sexually developed, aka a mature female. But she still seems pretty small to me, so I don't really have plans on breeding her, and I couldn't even breed her if I wanted to, because males, or pretty much finding more of this species in captivity here in the United States, is pretty much non-existent. So these two is the only ones I have, and I think that's going to be it for a very long time, until people produce more captivity, or unless somebody, imports more from Europe or something. But until then, these two females is all I have. I don't know exactly how I would describe this species, or this genus. The best way I can put it is that it's kind of like an Aphonopelma, if you combine a desert Aphonopelma with like a Grammostola and a Brachypelma, and then you get this. I don't know how to explain it. This is kind of like I don't know. It's a slow growing terrestrial species. So I guess you could say it's kind of like a Phonopelma in a way, I guess. So, maybe that's the best way to put it. Combine it with a Brachypelma as well, I guess. And you have Crassicrus. I really love the species though. It's unlike any other I have. Not to mention I can at least see the eyes very clearly when I look at it. I might as well look at it in the eyes and tell it how much I love it. No. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just being sarcastic. But yeah, though, a very beautiful species. It's also a very, very interesting color contrast species. From being very light in the colors up in the front, to having darker colors in the back, for both the legs and the abdomens, which makes the species very interesting to me already. Now, a very long time ago, I did a juvenile tarantula feeding video, and I actually showed this species. And honestly, a lot of people didn't take anything upon it. I really want to make this video to showcase this very rare or very elusive species in the hobby that I don't think many people will ever get a chance to have. Not at least for the long while. And if you live in the United States and you do have this species, not the Crassicrus lamini and not the other Crassicrus species that are wild-caught imported, but the Crassicrus species Guerrero. If you do have this species in captivity here in the United States, please let me know, because I would like to know the actual census or the actual numbers within the hobby here in the United States, because it's very rare, honestly. But overall, everyone, I hope that this puts a spotlight on a species that many of you may not have ever had or heard of. And if this is the first time you guys have heard of the species, please let me know down below. And also, if you're in the United States and you know where to find some of these, please let me know as well. And please don't try to scam me of, selling other Crassicrus species as this one. And I want to make something clear. There was another YouTube video that shows what is supposed to be a Crassicrus species Guerrero feeding, but that was not a Crassicrus species Guerrero. If anything, it looks like a Lasiodora parahybana juvenile to me. But yeah, that was a YouTube short video that I saw on YouTube when I was searching up the species to check if anybody has posted any videos of these online yet. And I think this is the only YouTube video of this species of its entirety. So yeah, that sounds pretty cool, right? One of the first ones on YouTube. If not, then only one of the very few on YouTube. So without further ado, I'm Laxow, aka the Kumo Sensei. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. I upload every single Tuesday and Friday here on this YouTube channel. Follow me on my social medias, and support me on Patreon. And with that, stay lax, and Laxow out from the Kumo Sensei.